I hope you don't think
No,
I'm
no, I
stupid.
thought, oh yeah, that was cute. That's good. One of the things I was going to point out to Maud is she was talking about count 9, which is, of course, 16, 10, 23 is one of the conspiracy to commit impersonating a public officer. When you look up that code section, the 16, 10, 23, it talks about holding themselves out as a peace officer, officer of the court, or other public officer or employee. So that's a lot more open to, it's impersonating a public
Employees, Eddie.
officer or employee. You don't necessarily have to be an officer.
Yeah, Eddie, but they're not even employees.
Well, that's, I'm just pointing out the law.
Right, I know. But
Yeah,
electors aren't employees, right?
Could you argue that they are?
But
No,
but
you
Eddie,
can't. They're not paid.
I mean,
They're not paid.
Their travel is paid for.
Hold on. Excuse me.
Their accommodations are paid for
I would love for, please.
by the state.
I rarely ever get, no offense, but I would love to hear Eddie on this because he actually practices in Georgia, and I want to hear a valid argument from a lawyer. I'm sorry, I'm biased. Can I hear from another attorney? Is that okay with you guys? Go ahead, Eddie.
No, I was going to say, it's when you start saying commits the offense of impersonating an officer. This what this is impersonating a public officer or employee. And whether or not this person constitutes an employee, I think there's a strong argument that they are, because they're an agent of the state.
Give you some pushback, Eddie. And can you give me the big box real quick? Hold on, let me look up the screenshot real quick.
Yeah, because in Article 2, it says that they're not agents either. So who would they be an employee of then? I mean, if because they're getting paid $50, would they be an employee?
So Eddie, it says right here, electors are not officers by usual test of office. So when it says that right there, is that implying that it's also employees or being able to be impersonated too, or what's the difference from what you're saying?
Let's parse this out. Electors are not officers by the usual tests of office. Usual tests of office for officers are, obviously things like being elected or holding state office that has discretionary powers, things of that nature. Again, I'm just talking.
An oath, maybe an oath of office, because electors do take oaths.
May I ask a question?
Office.
So Eddie, you said it was the charge was conspiracy to commit.
We're talking about but I'm talking specifically account 8. Honestly,
I'm sorry, Marv. My question would be: is there anybody on that slate that would be considered in that category? And that's the conspiracy, because they all agreed Joe Schmo is acting as the Secretary of State. You know what I'm saying?
They're talking about specifically in the law, in the crime described, they're specifically applying that to the electors, not the Secretary of State, not anyone else.
I guess I'm not explaining myself. All right, so the charge is a conspiracy. So that means everybody got together and they all are in on this scheme. And the scheme would be that someone is impersonating an officer. And that's what I'm saying, is that not the electors, all of them. Go ahead.
They are. That's what they're applying it to, is the electors.
Right.
They're not applying it to anyone else but the electors.
I know, but on the elector sheet, is there anybody else that's not an elector that is putting their name on there, signing it in the capacity of some sort of officer? And that's what the conspiracy is. Let's say there's 12 electors. They're not the impersonating, but they are part of the scheme that Joe Schmo is impersonating an officer.
No, they're saying that the scheme was to certify votes in place of the fake electors, and they're applying this law behind that action of them going and trying to certify votes. That's what they're saying.
Let me ask you this. When I look at count 8, and this may be something you've already thought about or looked at, it names 3 defendants here as impersonating a public officer. Okay.
Right.
There are 16 electors in Georgia.
Right.
They've named 3 here. I assume that's...
What are the 3 defendants, Eddie? If you
David Schaefer,
the Georgia GOP chair. Yep.
Sean Micah Thresher Still, and
that guy.
Kathleen Alston Latham.
Kathleen Latham, she's a state senator. And Schaefer was the GOP chair. He's the one that concocted the scheme, knowing that he could not certify fake electors. That's why he resigned after 2020, because he's in some shit.
Indictment. They're saying that the electors were the public officers.
Mm-hmm. Or
that's what they're saying.
And that these people...
They didn't charge any of they only charged 3?
In count 8.
David Schaefer was not an elector, though.
They only charged 3 of them. Well, it's Donald Trump.
Yeah, but David Schaefer and Latham couldn't be electors because they, Schaefer was in the House. They're in the state. There's a state representative. You can't be an elected office and be an elector.
You can't be in a federal elected office. I think you.
Oh, federal. You can't be in a state office?
I think you can.
I don't know.
I believe you can.
I don't know.
Because
Okay.
There's some states that, because it talks about the one that we were looking at, 45 whatever 5-6 or something like that. They were talking about how if one of the representatives is a military, but they serve in the official, some sort of state representative or whatever the case may be. But it goes on to describe that part too. And I know Jesse brought up that they cannot be in the House of Representatives. They cannot be in the House of Representatives, and they also cannot be in the Senate. But
you can't hold it.
They can't hold office.
You can't hold any position of trust. Yeah, you can't hold any position of trust.
Yeah.
Right. A public.
That would include state officers, right?
I don't think so.
I mean, state officers are under the same umbrella as public trust as a federal officer.
Yeah, they hold an office of trust.
They took an oath to office.
Well, they
were sworn into
They're
office.
allowed to, if they hold public office, they're still allowed to be an elector in the state of Georgia.
I mean,